We were ready to go, and if you look at now the power, I think 650,000 have been reconnected to power, and there's about 30,000 that are out of power statewide after getting hit by a hurricane. And here we are just a day and a half later. So that's really good. We were able to do some things to mitigate some of the power outages on our end, which was I think helpful. And some of those other ones are going to be online. The electrical co-ops, they're looking at having 100% of their customers restored by tomorrow night. That would be a record time, particularly for the co-ops. So that's a really good thing. Now, as we were charting this path, we saw the path it was taking, similar to Hurricane Idalia 11 months ago. And it did impact the Big Bend region of Florida, making landfall near Steinhatchee, which was pretty close to where the eye of Idalia went over. But having looked at that, the amount of debris compared to what we saw with Idalia and certainly with Ian, it's not even in the same ballpark. But what we've seen is with the amount of inundation in various parts of the state, that has created serious issues in pockets. So Sarasota and Manatee counties definitely were the first to, I think, really see significant flooding. We do anticipate, we saw some in north central Florida yesterday. We think we may see more as these rivers rise. So Kevin and his team are going to be responsive to that. We were here to be able to talk to some the business owners, some of the local folks, just to get a sense of the issues that they need. Probably going to be a need for some temporary housing, maybe a need. There's probably going to be a need for some business support. We've already unlocked our emergency business zero interest loan program, which is very liberal repayment options. We work with business owners on that because we understand how difficult it is. And so as more things come, we will do. But we definitely have hundreds of people who had really significant flooding in their homes just in this area, and likely hundreds more in other parts of the state. Now, as you start talking about getting in the Big Bend in north central Florida, it's just a lot more rural than places down here on the west coast of Florida, from Naples up to Tampa Bay. That's just the reality of it. So but we are monitoring that, because we do think you're going to end up seeing probably some more flooding as that water, when southern Georgia gets dumped with water, I mean, it just physics, it's got to come down into Florida. There's not like we can do, like South Florida, we have the water management district. We have things we may be able to do. We can't do it. It's water coming from Georgia. And so some of these rivers are going to rise. So FDOT is monitoring that. There's pumps available to clear the roads. Kevin and his team are there. We got search and rescue. All that stuff is there. But we do anticipate to see more things over the ensuing days. So I want to thank Kevin and his team. I think that they've done a really good job. There is another storm brewing, but I don't think it's going to hit us. It may not even form, and if it does, it's going to probably go to the Yucatan Peninsula. But we are now getting in. As you get into that middle part of August, it's kind of like that mid-August to kind of early October. That is the highest rate of tropical activity every year for hurricanes, and so we're going to continue to be prepared for whatever may come our way in the future. Hopefully, knock on wood, we don't, but we're going to be prepared if it is.
Governor, a lot of people, I was in a lot of homes yesterday off of Bay of Vista, areas that don't normally flood. A lot of these folks don't have flood insurance. How are we going to work to help them? Because these are a lot of working class people that have lost everything.
So Kevin and his team, as well as Hope Florida, and we have a variety of resources available. Certainly housing in the meantime is going to be important. Some homes may be able to be rehabbed, some may not. I mean, it's a really sad thing. We're also working with FEMA to unlock additional resources, and so we've assumed, since I've been governor, we've assumed a more proactive role on a housing mission, both providing temporary trailers, which Kevin has available that we purchased for Hurricane Ian, and then we also have programs in the state of Florida to help with home rebuild that had not existed prior to me becoming governor. So we're still surveying the damage, surveying the needs, but I think there's going to be a wide variety of resources. Of course, I can never guarantee, if somebody's in an area has no insurance at all, that we're going to be able to completely substitute for that. But I do think we have a lot of resources that'll really help people get back on their feet.
And Governor, those folks that, like Senator Gruder's mentioned, that are east of the interstate, maybe they're not in A, B, C, D flood zones. They are in zones that have never flooded historically. They said the drastic difference that they're seeing specifically
specifically in that area is a lot of development. A lot of people want to move to this area. A lot of people want to move to Florida. Is there anything that can be done on a statewide level to maybe investigate how this can be mitigated in the future?
Well, so first of all, I started a program called Resilient Florida, which was helping provide matching funds. We've done billions of dollars to local communities to do things like mitigate this type of storm damage. I mean, it's just a reality that as the state grows, I get a kick out of there'll be a hurricane, the most expensive hurricane in history. Well, first of all, you have inflation, so what it would have been then there, but then you have way more development. You go back and look at the Labor Day hurricane from almost 100 years ago. If that had hit now, that would have done way more damage because there's way more things to be damaged. But what happens is, as you develop, and then some of the legacy development was done in ways that made it harder for some of these areas to drain. Like we were over in Fort Lauderdale a month or two ago when they had a lot of inundation, and it was just like the water had nowhere to go because of how these things were built. So Resilient Florida has put a lot of money into the kitty. There's absolutely things that local governments, counties, cities, local communities can do, and the state will be helpful with that because we do understand. I mean, look, the way our country is right now, when you have something like what Waltz did in Minnesota, that's going to push people out of the state. It just is. Newsom in California pushes people out of the state. This is like the nicest state in our country. Historically, California people are leaving. New York people are leaving. Illinois, you see that. And so we are just a place people come to. And I'm not asking for people to move, but there's clearly a demand, and so our population has increased, and there's just challenges that are associated with that. But I'm glad that I was the one to spearhead Resilient Florida. I think it has made a difference already, but I think if you're looking at some of these areas where there has been development and that could create some risks, there are things you can do to mitigate it, and we're proud to have had a role in doing that. And in fact, you look at things from Hurricane Ian, areas, and not even apart from Resilient Florida, things that were done to mitigate, they fared so much better. I mean, it was really insignificant about what happened. Yes.
Governor, you're here talking to business owners and what they're dealing with, and I heard you talking to the lady, very famous business here, Yoder's, and I was trying to listen to that conversation. I heard her say the word heartbreaking. Can you just share some of the stories you just heard and what they're asking and what can be done specifically for business?
Well, first of all, you got the businesses, but then you also have people's homes. And on a business perspective, small businesses don't just grow on trees. Most small businesses fail. It's not easy to do. And so these are folks, particularly these family-owned businesses, they've poured their heart and soul into these endeavors. And many of them in this area have been very successful, which is not something that's guaranteed at all. In fact, the odds are usually against you. So, you work hard, you pour so much toil, tears, and sweat into an enterprise, and then to have it taken based on a hurricane is something that really is a gut punch. And I'd say the same thing with people's private homes. Yes, people want the security, you want to know you have a nice home, all that, and that's important. But when people lose mementos, when they lose pictures, when they lose things that you really can't replace, because at the end of the day, you can rebuild a home, you can buy a new sofa, but are you going to be able to replace those photos from 30 years ago, those family photos, other things that are really important? Those things are irreplaceable, and so that creates, I think, some angst and a disappointment that is not just about dollars and cents. And so we've seen that in other storms. We're seeing it here. It's a more concentrated harm that's been done. There were a lot of areas that were fine, but you are seeing that in pockets throughout the state. And so these are trying circumstances. But I think the good thing about here is you have a community that will rally to help folks. You have businesses that will rally, the nonprofits, and then of course, for what we have resources at the state level, whether it's Hope Florida, whether it's DEM, whether it's our other agencies, we want to be helpful and we will be helpful.
What's your message to the residents who lost their homes or the business owners who lost their businesses, may not know where to turn right now, or may just be waiting for that help on the way? What's your message to them?
So if you go to Florida Disaster website, they will have resources that are available. Now, this is ongoing because we're trying to get approved for more resources from the federal government. I don't know whether we will get it or not. I think we should, of course, and I'm going to ask for whatever help that's available for people to be able to do. We also have a point of distribution in Mayaca. And so it's food, water, but they also has the Hope bus there today.
It will be coming.
So we have the Hope Florida bus. We have Citizens Insurance. I'm not sure how much wind damage was done in this storm, but that's there. You have DBPR. You have Children and Families. Publix was there in Taylor County yesterday. Food vendors helping with people to do that. So we do have a footprint in the Sarasota, Bradenton area with this point of distribution. Now, I would also say those points of distribution are really important when there's a long closure of activity. The big box stores are open, Publix open, all that's open. So in terms of that there is going to be all those services available in the normal course of business, but certainly on some of the programs, we have an ability to do that. But the Florida Disaster website really has a lot of things, and we will be adding, hopefully, if we get approval from FEMA. You want to address any of that?
So, thank you, Governor. So again, as the governor said, there's a lot of resources, and we're trying to combine all of those things into a couple of locations: FloridaDisaster.org, local relief app, and other sponsoring individuals. Like again, he's talked about the big box stores that continue to shoot people in our direction, if you will. So Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, Amazon, they're all helping us out. And again, we're trying to consolidate all of those resources into the FloridaDisaster.org, local relief app, things like that. So we're going to continue to do that and try to make it as easy as possible. When we do get, you're going to see coming to Sarasota Manatee something that we refer to as a multi-agency resource center. That will be coming. And again, that's a one-stop shop, if you will, for all the things that the governor already mentioned. If we do get that disaster declaration from FEMA, which is going to go up to them today, then we will combine them into that same multi-agency resource center, and then it will become what's referred to as a disaster recovery center. At that point, it moves more from a state-ran facility to a federally ran facility because of the federal government's involvement in that. So those are things that are coming down the pipe very, very quickly.
I mean, the pods that were set up, the standard pods was, the hurricane plan is like, have 5 days of food and non-perishable food, water, batteries, whatever you need. And then all this stuff would have time to get there. We had a pod set up the next day after the storm. I mean, so that's even better. Ian, I think, was a day and a half. This was literally the next morning. These pods are up. So this is a very quick response, and we appreciate them doing that.
Governor, you mentioned your Resilient Florida program. We're in the middle of hurricane season. I know it was a massive storm, but when can we expect some improvements? You know, we're seeing water in neighborhoods that haven't flooded in 30 years. Major.
Well, we've already distributed a lot of resources, and so I'm not exactly sure what's been requested from this area, but we have distributed, I think, a couple $2 billion over the last 3 years. And that's paired with what the local communities are doing. So if we send somebody 20 million, that means they got 20 million there and are able to do. So that's there to help. But it's also the case, look, you don't have to wait on Resilient Florida. I mean, you have local communities that are growing, that are doing well financially. They have an opportunity to make these types of improvements too. And we would say, go ahead and do it. You don't gotta wait on Resilient Florida. There's a finite amount of money there. You guys know your needs, and go ahead and let her rip. I mean, we've leaned in on that because we understand that's an issue. We've leaned in on the transportation, moving Florida forward. We're accelerating road projects by a decade or more by putting a big cash infusion into that. We're proud of doing that. I think that's something that's really important. But ultimately, you have the ability locally to make decisions independent from any of our programs, and we're here to help. But there may be other things you want to do as well.
Governor, in terms of response and preparation, how does Sarasota County, from what you've seen, compare to some of the other places you've been?
Yeah, sure. So I've said this time and time again. Florida leads the way, not only at the state level, but also at the local level. And I know that specifically Sarasota Emergency Management Director Ed McCrane retired after several years, probably several decades of being involved here at Sarasota. Now Sandra Tafumine has led the way here over the last few months for Sarasota County. Again, she is doing a remarkable job here. Sarasota has been very, very quick to respond to their disaster, and they continue to work with us on a day-to-day basis. I probably talk to Sandra 2 or 3 times a day. Same thing for this viewing area. We've seen the same response out of Manatee County. So again, the things that you're seeing up more in the physically constrained areas that have much fewer resources versus the ones here in Sarasota and Manatee, they're not completely self-reliant, but they are much more reliant than our physically constrained counties to the north. So they're doing a remarkable job. They're very, very quick to what's going on. They're out doing those damage assessments, which typically take 3 to 5 days to do. And as of yesterday, Sandra reported that the county was already over 50% 1 day after the disaster. So they're doing a remarkable job.
Let me just also put in a plug. I mean, we're here at Philippi Creek Oyster Bar. They're going to be open tomorrow for lunch. I know they're trying to work on some power to fix that. Not that the power's on everywhere, but just that one of the hookups. So come out and give it a whirl. I know they've got really good stuff, and it'll help them get back on their feet. So that'll be open tomorrow for lunch and beyond.
Governor, you said that the state is accelerating some of these infrastructure projects because of what we're seeing in this area. A lot of people wanting to move here. Do you think on the county level, you said they can do what they want, but do you think we need to be decelerating the rate that we are building out east?
Well, look, those are, different communities are able to approach that in Florida differently. So you look at places like Martin County, they don't like homes. Like, it's very tough. Like, you can build golf courses till kingdom come. They've got probably 10 golf courses that have either been built or will be built within the last 2 years. I mean, it's incredible the amount of clubs that are being built. But they just don't like that. There's other places that lean into more residential. So those are decisions that communities can come to on a local level. It's not really for us. I mean, we couldn't do it. Our state's way too diverse for us to have a policy on that anyways. It's just what is in North Central Florida is not the same as what's in Key West, right? What's in Fort Lauderdale is not the same as what's in Polk County. So that's just the reality of it. So that'll be something that's local. Well, we're going to be heading up to North Florida to Live Oak. Kevin and his team are ready. We understand. We knew that these would be issues, but it was great to hear from folks in the community about what the needs are. We're hoping that we get that approval from FEMA. That will unlock more resources for individuals. But we also have taken the lead in Florida on kind of taking some of this matter into our own hands. So we do have an availability for the housing. We have trailers. Kevin's going to work that up, see what the needs are. My view would be, it's like, if you're going to rehab your home, it's going to take you 6 months to do that. I'd rather just have a nice trailer on my property and be able to tend to it rather than be somewhere else. Not everyone agrees with that, but I think a lot of people agree with it. So we saw the need for that, and we've wanted to go full steam ahead for it. And we may unlock other programs as well to help with the rebuild of the homes. Look, I mean, when you do a home and they ask you, do you want flood insurance? You look, does this place flood? And if it doesn't, it's a rational thing to say, well, why would I pay for something that's not going to happen? You wouldn't buy earthquake insurance in Florida, just like people in California probably wouldn't buy the same type of tropical coverage that we have. So it's not like people were shirking. They were in spots where this was not something that had typically happened. Things are developing, so we're going to have to look and give people a better sense going forward, just given how these areas have boomed. But we want to be helpful, and so Kevin and his team are going to be standing by. Hope Florida is going to be standing by, and we'll get everyone through this. We'll get it done. Thanks. All right, this way.
Hey, don't go nowhere.
Thank you, Jim. Have a good day.
Everyone's covering stories in your district.
Just talking to Mitigation folks, they'll come and check when it comes out. If it's going to be related to this. Hey, good to see you. It's not related to the storm. I'm very interested. Related to political stuff, I'm not.
It's not related to political stuff. No, it's not political stuff.